Americans are living longer than ever, but not necessarily better. In the United States, more than 80% of people over 65 suffer from at least one chronic illness, and nearly 70% are on more than 5 daily medications. That is not the definition of healthy aging. We are seeing more seniors stuck in assisted living centers, dependent on expensive treatments and endless prescriptions. But what if the answer isn't more pills? What if it's the right nutrients that have been missing all along? What if some of the most powerful vitamins that could help you live past 100 with clarity, energy, mobility, and strength have been overlooked or dismissed? Many Americans in their 70s and 80s are still unaware that key deficiencies are silently accelerating their decline. The first vitamin we have to talk about is vitamin D3, often called the sunshine vitamin, and it is absolutely crucial for anyone over 60 living in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, or Australia. The majority of seniors living in these countries are deficient in it, especially during the winter months when sun exposure is extremely limited. But vitamin D3 is not just about bones. A deficiency in this nutrient is tied to almost everything that leads to early death, poor immune function, depression, cancer progression, muscle weakness, and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. If a senior falls and breaks a hip, the chances of dying within a year skyrocket. But low vitamin D is strongly linked to both increased fall risk and weaker bone density. And it goes beyond the bones. The immune system absolutely depends on D3 to regulate inflammation. Seniors with higher blood levels of vitamin D live longer, have fewer infections, lower cancer risk, and even sharper cognition. And many doctors in the United States are now recommending 2,000 IU to 5,000 IU per day for older adults, especially those who are indoors most of the time or have darker skin. Still, there are elderly patients in nursing homes across the country with dangerously low levels, and nobody's checking. Another essential vitamin for longevity is B12. In the United States, it's estimated that nearly 15% of seniors over 65 have a B12 deficiency, and many go undiagnosed for years. This is alarming because vitamin B12 is absolutely critical for brain health, red blood cell production, nerve function, and energy metabolism. Deficiency can mimic dementia, cause irreversible nerve damage, and increase risk of heart disease. Through elevated homocysteine levels, people start to notice fatigue, memory loss, tingling in the hands and feet, and even depression. It's one of the most tragic examples because these symptoms are often dismissed as just aging, when in reality, they could be completely reversed with simple supplementation. The problem is that as we age, stomach acid decreases, which means we absorb less B12 from food. That's why doctors in Canada and the United States are increasingly recommending seniors take sublingual B12 or B12 injections to bypass the digestive system entirely. A 2019 clinical review even suggested that addressing B12 deficiency in treated seniors could reduce fall risk, depression symptoms, and improve cognitive performance within weeks. Still, countless elderly people are misdiagnosed with dementia or treated with antidepressants when the root cause is nutritional. Another overlooked vitamin that plays a massive role in longevity is vitamin K2. This is not the same as K1, which is involved in blood clotting. K2 is what tells calcium where to go. It guides calcium into the bones and away from the arteries. Without enough K2, seniors develop brittle bones and hardened arteries at the same time. Think about that. The same nutrient that strengthens bones also prevents heart disease. Yet almost no one in the United States or United Kingdom is being screened for K2 levels. K2 is rare in Western diets unless people are eating natto, fermented cheeses, or grass-fed dairy. Research from Japanese Studies showed that seniors who consumed higher amounts of K2 had a lower risk of hip fractures and arterial calcification. Cardiologists in the United States have started using K2 alongside vitamin D3 to prevent arterial stiffness and enhance cardiovascular resilience in elderly patients. But mainstream guidelines haven't caught up, and many seniors are being placed on calcium supplements without any consideration for K2, which may actually increase their risk of heart attack if not balanced properly. In Canada and Australia, some supplement protocols now combine K2, MK7 form, with D3 to maximize bone density and reduce vascular calcification simultaneously. Then we have magnesium, a mineral that is technically not a vitamin but is absolutely vital and often overlooked. Nearly 60% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, and for seniors, that number is even higher. Magnesium affects over 300 enzymatic processes in the body, including muscle function, heart rhythm, sleep regulation, and nerve communication. Low magnesium is linked to anxiety, muscle cramps, irregular heartbeat, migraines, high blood pressure, and insulin resistance. But here's the thing. As people age, their absorption decreases, while excretion through the kidneys increases. This makes older adults especially vulnerable. Seniors in the United States who are hospitalized for heart failure or arrhythmia are often found to have low magnesium, but rarely are they given enough to correct the deficiency long-term. There's also strong evidence connecting magnesium with reduced risk of type 2 diabetes and stroke, two of the leading causes of disability in people over 65. In the United Kingdom and Australia, some nutritionists are now calling magnesium the longevity mineral because of how many systems it supports. Magnesium citrate or glycinate are preferred forms for older adults, since they are better absorbed and less likely to cause digestive issues. Another vitamin that is absolutely essential but severely underappreciated is folate, not folic acid, which is synthetic and used in cheap supplements, but natural folate found in leafy greens or methylfolate in high-quality formulas. Folate is vital for DNA repair, cellular function, and cardiovascular protection. Seniors who have low folate levels are more likely to suffer from anemia, cognitive decline, and elevated homocysteine, which is a serious risk factor for heart disease and stroke. In Canada and the United States, where heart disease is still the #1 cause of death, this cannot be ignored. Studies show that folate can reduce the risk of stroke by as much as 20% in people who are deficient. But again, many elderly patients are placed on medications that deplete folate or interfere with its absorption, including metformin and certain blood pressure drugs, without any effort to replenish it. And when you combine low folate with low B12, the damage to the brain and nervous system becomes even more severe. Some researchers believe that addressing these deficiencies early could delay the onset of dementia by years or even decades. The next critical nutrient is vitamin C, often underestimated in elderly health, despite being one of the most powerful antioxidants. Vitamin C protects cells from oxidative stress, boosts immune function, supports collagen production, and improves iron absorption. But what most people don't realize is that seniors often have much lower levels of vitamin C due to poor diet and higher metabolic demands. A study in the United Kingdom found that older adults in care homes had chronically low vitamin C, putting them at greater risk for infections, slow wound healing, and even bleeding gums. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many doctors in the United States and Canada began using high-dose vitamin C to support the immune system in older adults, especially those with respiratory infections. But vitamin C also plays a role in cardiovascular health by reducing blood pressure and improving endothelial function. In Australia, research showed that long-term supplementation improved skin elasticity, reduced inflammation, and protected against macular degeneration. And yet, countless seniors are still consuming diets low in fresh fruits and vegetables, or using multivitamins that contain synthetic, low-dose forms that barely move the needle. This is just the beginning. The cascade of deficiencies that are silently stealing years from our seniors' lives is far worse than most people realize. Nutritional gaps are leading to unnecessary hospital visits, increased dependency, and poor quality of life. In the United States, we spend more on health care than any other country, yet our seniors are sicker, more medicated, and less mobile than ever. And it's not just about having access to vitamins, it's about understanding the forms, the dosages, the combinations that actually work. Most supplements on store shelves are filled with low-quality ingredients that do little to fix the underlying problem. Seniors need targeted, bioavailable nutrients that correct decades of damage and support the systems that keep them alive and well. Another nutrient that is absolutely critical for seniors aiming to live past 100 is omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, which are found in fatty fish or high-quality fish oil supplements. In the United States, omega-3 intake is dangerously low in the elderly population, and this has devastating consequences. Omega-3s are essential for maintaining brain health, reducing systemic inflammation, and supporting cardiovascular function. Multiple large-scale studies, including the Framingham Heart Study, found that seniors with the highest levels of DHA had significantly lower risk of Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. In Canada and the United Kingdom, clinical guidelines now acknowledge omega-3s as protective against age-related cognitive decline. But many seniors are not consuming enough fish or taking supplements, either due to digestive discomfort, medication interactions, or outdated fears about mercury. What they're missing is that high-quality purified fish oils are safe and life-extending. EPA reduces chronic inflammation, which is now considered the root cause of most age-related diseases. DHA, on the other hand, makes up a large part of the brain and is critical for preserving memory and processing speed. Seniors in Australia who consumed at least 1 gram of EPA and DHA daily showed better memory, faster cognition, and reduced brain shrinkage compared to those who didn't supplement. It's not just about preventing disease, it's about maintaining independence, mental clarity, and the ability to live without constant supervision or care. Then we have CoQ10, a powerful antioxidant that supports mitochondrial function, especially in the heart and muscles. After age 50, the body's production of CoQ10 declines sharply, and this is made worse by statin medications, which are widely prescribed across the United States for cholesterol. Most people don't know that statins block the same enzyme pathway that the body uses to produce CoQ10, which leads to chronic fatigue, muscle weakness, and even heart failure in some seniors. In the U.S. alone, over 40 million people are taking statins, yet less than 5% are advised to supplement with CoQ10. This is a massive oversight. CoQ10 is vital for ATP production, which is the fuel every single cell depends on. In Japan and several parts of Europe, CoQ10 is prescribed alongside heart medications for seniors because it dramatically improves quality of life, exercise tolerance, and heart strength. In Canada and Australia, integrative doctors are now using ubiquinol, the active form of CoQ10, to support older adults with heart disease, Parkinson's, and chronic fatigue. And in trials, CoQ10 supplementation reduced hospitalizations and mortality in elderly patients with congestive heart failure. It's not optional. If a senior wants to maintain energy, strength, and heart function, CoQ10 is non-negotiable. Zinc is another mineral that becomes more and more vital with age. It's deeply involved in immune function, wound healing, and even hormone regulation. But studies show that up to 40% of seniors in long-term care facilities in the United States are zinc deficient. This makes them more vulnerable to pneumonia, infections, slow recovery from surgery, and increased inflammation. During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, some physicians across Canada and the US began emphasizing zinc because it plays a key role in viral immunity. But the reality is that most multivitamins don't provide enough zinc in bioavailable forms, and certain medications like diuretics and acid blockers further deplete it. Seniors who are deficient in zinc may experience taste changes, appetite, loss, more frequent colds, and slower healing from even minor cuts or scrapes. In Australia and the United Kingdom, elderly populations with chronic wounds or leg ulcers are often found to be zinc deficient, and zinc supplementation speeds healing dramatically. In addition to its immune benefits, zinc supports testosterone production in men and stabilizes estrogen balance in women, both crucial for maintaining bone strength, mood, and energy levels. Vitamin A, often feared due to toxicity concerns, is actually one of the most important nutrients for aging adults when taken in safe, moderate doses. It's critical for vision, immune health, and maintaining the integrity of mucosal barriers like the lungs and gut lining. Seniors with low vitamin A are more likely to suffer from night blindness, respiratory infections, and poor skin healing. In the United States, processed food diets are high in beta-carotene but low in the active form of vitamin A, called retinol, which is only found in liver, eggs, and full-fat dairy. Many seniors have trouble converting beta-carotene to retinol, especially those with thyroid disorders or genetic polymorphisms. This means they may appear to be getting enough A on paper, but functionally they're deficient. In Canada, it's common to see older adults with dry eyes, rough skin, and frequent colds, only to discover their vitamin A levels are suboptimal. While megadosing can be dangerous, moderate intake of high-quality retinol from cod liver oil or retinol palmitate can restore immune resilience and protect against epithelial tissue damage. Vitamin A also works synergistically with vitamin D, and without enough A, even optimal D levels may not function properly. Another vitamin that seniors must consider is vitamin E, particularly in the form of tocotrienols, not just the typical alpha-tocopherol found in most supplements. Tocotrienols are potent antioxidants that protect against cellular aging, arterial stiffness, and neurodegeneration. In the United States, tocotrienols are not commonly included in standard multivitamins, but this is a mistake. Studies show that tocotrienols reduce inflammation markers like CRP, support healthy cholesterol levels, and enhance brain function. In Canada, tocotrienols are being studied for their potential to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease and support liver health in aging populations. They are up to 40 to 60 times more powerful than regular vitamin E in terms of antioxidant protection. Seniors taking tocotrienols experience improved arterial flexibility, reduced oxidative stress, and in some cases, better memory retention. The problem is that these compounds are mostly found in red palm oil and annatto, which are not part of a typical Western diet. Without supplementing, it's almost impossible for seniors in the United Kingdom or Australia to get therapeutic amounts of tocotrienols. Some researchers believe they may be a missing piece in the fight against both vascular dementia and heart disease in older adults. L-carnitine is another underutilized nutrient that can dramatically increase energy production in elderly cells. Carnitine transports fatty acids into mitochondria, where they're burned for energy, and it's especially important in heart and brain tissue. Seniors in the United States with chronic fatigue, brain fog, or slow recovery after illness may have low carnitine levels, especially if they've been following low-protein diets or suffer from poor digestion. In a study involving older adults with heart failure, supplementation with acetyl L-carnitine improved exercise performance, muscle mass, and quality of life. In the United Kingdom and Canada, it's increasingly used in elderly patients recovering from surgery or chronic illness to rebuild stamina and cognitive clarity. Carnitine also supports the body's ability to detoxify and maintain insulin sensitivity, two areas that become more compromised with age. When combined with CoQ10 and magnesium, it can reignite the energy levels of seniors who have been housebound or bedridden, giving them a sense of vitality they haven't felt in years. And finally, selenium, a trace mineral with a massive impact on longevity and disease prevention. Selenium is essential for thyroid hormone activation, immune defense, and reducing cancer risk. In the United States, soil selenium levels vary by region, and many seniors in the Midwest and Northeast are unknowingly deficient. This is critical because selenium works as a cofactor for glutathione, the master antioxidant that detoxifies the body and protects cells from oxidative damage. Seniors with low selenium are more prone to viral infections, autoimmune disorders, and cognitive decline. In Canada and Australia, selenium is being investigated for its role in preventing prostate cancer and supporting thyroid function in older adults. In the elderly population, even mild selenium deficiency can accelerate aging at the cellular level. Supplementing with as little as 100 to 200 mg of selenium daily has been shown to reduce inflammation markers and support immune function. Brazil nuts are a good food source, but the selenium content varies widely. For consistency, many doctors now recommend standardized supplements, especially for seniors who already show signs of fatigue, hair thinning, or sluggish metabolism. The impact of proper vitamin and mineral intake on longevity is undeniable, especially for seniors already dealing with the burden of polypharmacy, limited mobility, and declining metabolism. But another absolutely essential nutrient that's being ignored in elderly care across the United States is choline. Choline is vital for liver detoxification, fat metabolism, and most critically, memory and brain function. It's a precursor to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that governs memory, learning, and muscle control. Choline deficiency has been directly linked to liver fat accumulation, cognitive decline, and muscle dysfunction. In the United States, less than 10% of older adults meet the recommended daily intake, and even fewer are consuming the optimal amounts that promote longevity. Seniors often avoid eggs, liver, and red meat due to cholesterol fears or digestive issues. Yet these are the richest sources of choline. Without it, their brains literally begin to starve. In long-term care facilities across Canada and Australia, cases of fatty liver and mild cognitive impairment are being re-evaluated with a new lens: lack of choline, not just age or genetics. In studies, elderly patients given citicoline or alpha-GPC, both choline sources, experienced significant improvements in memory recall, attention, and even mood regulation. It's especially powerful when combined with DHA, forming a synergistic brain-boosting effect. Many neurologists in the United Kingdom are now recommending targeted choline support for aging populations at risk of dementia. Yet in American senior communities, it's barely mentioned. Another key vitamin, often ignored and misunderstood, is niacin, vitamin B3. While most people know about it in relation to cholesterol, few understand its deep connection to mitochondrial function and NAD+ production. NAD+ is a coenzyme necessary for DNA repair, cellular energy, and longevity. As we age, NAD+ declines rapidly, leading to fatigue, slower healing, immune dysfunction, and higher susceptibility to age-related diseases. Niacin helps restore NAD+ levels, but not all forms are equal. Immediate-release niacin supports healthy cholesterol and energy, but flushes the skin, which deters many seniors. Non-flush niacin, or nicotinamide riboside, NR, is being used in TV clinical settings across the United States and Canada to improve mitochondrial health and slow down biological aging in seniors. In studies, older adults given NR had better muscle endurance, improved metabolic markers, and lower signs of systemic inflammation. In Australia, some anti-aging clinics now recommend NAD+ precursors as part of their protocol for anyone over 70 who wants to remain active, sharp, and independent. In the United Kingdom, a pilot study using niacin to reduce cognitive impairment in nursing home residents showed promising results, including improved appetite, reduced agitation, and better night sleep patterns. It's also critical to address that seniors are often deficient in fiber and prebiotics, which play a key role in vitamin absorption and overall digestive health. Without a healthy gut, nutrients simply don't get absorbed, no matter how many supplements are taken. This is especially alarming in the U.S., where elderly diets are heavily processed and low in plant diversity. Fiber supports the growth of beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which protect the gut lining, support immunity, and regulate inflammation. Without enough fiber, bad bacteria flourish, increasing the risk of infections, leaky gut, and nutrient malabsorption. In Canada, research has shown that older adults with healthier gut microbiomes are not only more physically active, but also have stronger immune responses and better mental resilience. In the United States, doctors rarely talk about the microbiome in elderly care, but it could be the root of many health complaints: bloating, fatigue, malnutrition, depression, and even joint pain. Psyllium husk, inulin, and resistant starches can make a dramatic difference. Some seniors in Australia who began daily prebiotic fiber intake saw improvements in blood sugar, bowel regularity, and even sleep quality within a few weeks. Without restoring the gut, vitamin therapy is incomplete. Another unspoken threat to longevity is the overuse of acid-blocking medications among seniors. In the United States, millions of elderly people are prescribed proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, for heartburn or GERD, often for years, without reevaluation. What they're not told is that these drugs block stomach acid so severely that absorption of key nutrients like B12, magnesium, calcium, iron, and zinc is drastically reduced. This silent nutrient depletion can lead to fatigue, muscle cramps, anemia, and even neurological damage. In Canada, hospitals are now reevaluating long-term PPI use in older patients, especially those with osteoporosis or memory problems. In the United Kingdom, guidelines are shifting to limit long-term use of acid blockers in favor of safer alternatives. But in the U.S., many seniors are still refilling prescriptions year after year, unaware that their multivitamin isn't absorbing properly due to suppressed stomach acid. For seniors using PPIs, doctors must consider higher doses or alternative delivery forms like sublingual, transdermal, or liquid supplements that bypass digestion. And beyond nutrition, we must talk about synergy. Vitamins and minerals don't work in isolation. D3 needs magnesium and K2. B12 works best with folate and B6. Vitamin A depends on zinc. Omega-3s work better when choline is adequate. This is why many seniors in the United States feel no change after taking a generic multivitamin. It's not designed for their aging body, their prescription list, or their absorption issues. Proper longevity nutrition for seniors requires therapeutic doses, correct forms, and attention to drug-nutrient interactions. One woman in her late 70s, bedridden after a stroke, began a supervised high-dose protocol of D3, K2, B12 injections, omega-3s, and magnesium. Within months, she regained speech, could walk with assistance, and no longer required antidepressants. Stories like these aren't miracles. They're simply what happens when nutrient deficiencies are corrected with intention. In the United States alone, there are over 50 million people over 65. If even a fraction of them were given personalized nutritional protocols focusing on the vitamins and minerals discussed here, targeted D3, B12, K2, magnesium, omega-3s, CoQ10, choline, zinc, folate, selenium, and the rest, the savings to the healthcare system would be in the billions, not to mention the lives transformed. Hospitals would see fewer falls, fewer infections, and fewer cases of premature cognitive decline. Families wouldn't have to watch their parents and grandparents disappear mentally, physically, and emotionally when it could have been prevented. Seniors in Canada and the United Kingdom have started turning to functional medicine clinics because mainstream systems simply aren't catching up fast enough. In Australia, growing numbers of elderly are attending wellness retreats focused on micronutrient therapy, fasting mimicking diets, and supplementation strategies rooted in hard science, not just temporary fixes. Even hydration status impacts how well these nutrients work. Seniors have a weaker thirst response, and mild dehydration is a silent epidemic in nursing homes. It slows metabolism, causes confusion, worsens blood pressure, and impairs kidney function. Electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and chloride must be properly balanced to support nutrient transport and cellular communication. In some U.S. states, care homes have begun integrating hydration schedules with mineral testing to prevent decline. But these are isolated cases. The bigger picture still shows millions of seniors underfed, underhydrated, and undernourished, despite access to medical care. Real aging with vitality requires a total nutrient strategy. It's not about randomly taking pills. It's about understanding how nutrients influence genes, protect organs, and optimize every system in the body. It's about preventing, not treating, decline. It's about enabling seniors in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia to remain in their homes longer, remember their families, walk unaided, cook their own meals, and contribute to their communities without being a statistic. The tools are here. The science is solid. What's missing is awareness, execution, and prioritizing nutrition as the foundation of longevity. Every senior deserves a chance to live not just longer, but stronger, sharper, and truly alive. And it begins with the vitamins they've been missing for far too long.